All right, good morning and welcome to Staying Mission Driven, January 2024. I've been hosting a few meetings as of late, and I always start by saying I'm really glad 2023 is in the rearview mirror. It was a great time. We had so much fun celebrating our 50th anniversary, but it was a lot of work for all of us. And, we accomplished a lot last year. We had a number of goals that we set out to achieve, and we were successful. So thank you all for your support in that. And now we're moving on, 2024. So I have some announcements. I wanted to share with you the 2022 impact report. If you haven't seen it yet, I encourage you to go out and take a look at that. It is can be found on our website, the statewide website. I always find it's in a couple of places, but I always find it under What We Do 2022 Impact Report. And this is the inaugural full report for our program that's been created since we adopted the program priorities. So I encourage you to take a look at it and see how we're using the data that you all collect and deliver to your program coordinators to see how we're using that to tell a compelling and impactful story. So we have just the by the numbers. This is just some general information statewide about how many people we've reached on different topics. And so my guess is, though, so this says something like, 3,126 residents learned about ecosystems and biodiversity. 3,300 learned about water conservation and water quality. I also know that some counties have a harder time collecting the data on the numbers of people that they speak to about topics. And so I'm sure that these numbers are way bigger than what is listed here. But we're getting better and better every year, and I appreciate you as volunteers doing the best that you can to collect the information that your program coordinators are asking you for. Here's a sample of the local food impact, and you can see over here the public value. So why did people care? Why should the residents of Washington State care about what we do? Well, really, it's because we contribute over 60,000 pounds of produce to local food banks, feeding nearly 450 people a year with nutritious fruits and vegetables. And collectively, participants estimate saving $42,000 because of what they learned and what they were able to do to grow their own food. So this is great news and a great way to show your local constituents about the good work that we do as Extension Master Gardener volunteers. There's some relative stories here that talk about the different things that we're doing across the state. So take a look at this. It's Debbie Benbow was the one who did all the design work for it. Thank you, Debbie. It was a lot of work for her, and I'm really proud of what we were able to accomplish with this. I'm going to put the link in the chat here for you. There are a number of improvements that we want to make on it for 2023, and I shared some of that information with the program coordinators yesterday, but some of the things we want to include are funding information, like how is our program funded and how much does it really cost to run our programs. So we want to include the information, the funding sources from WSU, and we want to include, aggregate the foundation support too at the state level, so we can really see, you know, what does it really cost to deliver the educational programs across Washington State? We also want to include some trend data. So I generally collect and data on the program priorities year over year. And next year in the report, I want to show, information about how many people attend classes on local food in a given year, how many local food classes do we hold, and then how many people attend those. And, look back on that from, previous years and kind of see where we're at. Is local food super popular still, or is biodiversity more popular? So we can kind of start to look at that data and analyze it and see what it's telling us. And maybe we can start doing classes in different areas, because we're seeing lots and lots of people attend a class on biodiversity, but we're only holding, we're not holding as many classes on biodiversity as maybe we should, or climate change, or, so we'll be able to see some of that information. I want to get that, start to put some of that in the report. And then I also, for 2023, want to include some structure pieces. How does our program fit together? How does it work within WSU? How do the foundations fit in? To really depict the whole picture of our program in that report. So looking forward to beginning work on 2023 report. Yesterday, just this morning, I launched the 2023 survey for program coordinators, and they'll be entering in all the data that you have been collecting throughout the year. So things like, how many classes on local food did you offer as a county? How many workshops on local food? How many demonstrations? How many field days on the different program priorities? How many people attended?
So many numbers pull out the thoughts.
How many people attended each of those? The other thing that we keep track of is, in our clinics, how many questions were asked in a given program priority, and how many people did we reach through our clinics? So that survey was launched yesterday. Program coordinators have until February 28th to complete that, and then we'll begin working on the 2023 report and hopefully have that out to you by mid-year. So thanks to all of you for your help in getting us that information. Thanks to Debbie for doing all the design work on the 2022 report. And I'm thrilled that we have that out and available for you. Please share that report as needed to tell our story. I also want to remind each of you about the volunteer resources that we have available on our website. Let's see, do I have that page open? I do not. Okay, so share my screen again. So this is our, the main WSU Master Gardener website. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, there's resources for Master Gardener volunteers. You can click into here and find marketing materials. You can find presentations. You can find different education opportunities, policies and procedures, plant diagnostics. And scroll down and find everything that you could ever want. Well, maybe that's not true, but the things that we have available to you as Extension Master Gardener volunteers. You can grab Zoom backgrounds if you want. Information on the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival is here. Information on the Advanced Education Conference is here. Debbie's working on getting these things updated, so you'll see that one still says 2023. The 2024 conference is planning is well underway. our presentation materials. The program priorities toolkit is here. I encourage all of you to go out and grab that if you haven't, and use that for your educational outreach planning this year. This is a great tool for you. Gives you lots of ideas on how to incorporate the program priorities into your outreach. So please take advantage of these resources that are here. I think you'll find that they're very helpful. All right, thanks Debbie for posting that. I also wanted to give a quick update on the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival. So last year we participated in celebration of our 50th anniversary, and it was such a great success that county programs and foundations and the state foundation wanted to participate again. So this year we actually have, I think, 15 counties participating. We received sponsorship from 15 foundations to cover the costs of that participation. We're going to have a 10 by 30 booth at the show this year, in which is bigger than last year, and we're including we've joined forces with King County and the plant clinic team from King County. So we'll have outreach at the booth, and we'll also have plant clinic at the booth. So just wanted to give a quick shout out and thanks to the foundations in those areas, 16 counties, thank you. And the state foundation, give a quick shout out and thanks for your support for the Master Gardener Program participation at the show. It's going to be a fun time. So that's the week of Valentine's Day, February 13th through the 18th or something like that. You can get, if you want to get tickets, you can get discounted tickets through the show, and I think Debbie can get that link into the chat for you, or at least somebody can that's been on the team. So you'll receive a $5 discount, and when you use that link, the state foundation will get a little bit of a kickback. So please go ahead and if you're going to attend the show, use that link to purchase your tickets. This year we went through the seminars, and there are a number of seminars that are available for continuing education. That the printed program at the Flower and Garden Festival will have our flower icon next to the seminars that are approved for CE. Yesterday we had this conversation on the coordinator meeting, and I did not have confirmation that that was going to happen. I do have confirmation that that icon will be on the printed program. There is a list of approved continuing education seminars on the volunteer resources page in the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival section.
A quick question.
Go ahead.
Has anyone ever collected data on how many Master Gardeners over the last 5 years attend the Flower and Garden Show? Like, yeah.
I don't think so.
Right. It'd be interesting to see out of the all of the ticket sales. That'd be a whole nother thing to track. But anyway,
Yeah.
It's cool. It's great that all the things that you've done to make have us more infused, and having those icons on those sessions is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It just elevates, the program, and people ask the questions about, well, what is this about? And yeah, so it's pretty neat. I had a question about Spanish speakers at the show. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not involved in the speaker selection. So, and I wasn't the one who reviewed all the seminars. They were done by other coordinators. I did look at them. I didn't dig into whether or not any of them were going to be in Spanish. I kind of don't think so, but I don't know for sure. All right. So looking to 2024 on the program side, we're gonna double our efforts on the strategic plan that we created in 2018 and 2019. That plan came out of a SWOT analysis that we chat. So that plan came out of a SWOT analysis that was completed by program coordinators, some volunteers, and some faculty that are some administrative faculty that are involved in the Master Gardener program. And we looked at our strengths and our weaknesses and some of those opportunities and the threats that might be headed our way, and defined 5 priority areas that we needed to focus on. And those 5 areas include the telling our story pieces. So that's where our program priorities came from. It's where the new data collection information came from. It's where the program priority toolkit came from. All of the branding pieces that we're working on and developing really came out of that telling our story team. And so we're constantly working on brand cohesion and adoption of those program priorities, evaluating the programs that you all deliver in your counties. What is asking the questions like, what is the difference that Master Gardeners make in the communities that they serve? And that program priority toolkit is one tool that in the toolbox that you all can use to help us evaluate the work that we do and be able to tell that compelling and impactful story about the work that we do. The better the story that we can tell, proving our worth, proving that what we do does make a difference in our communities, the more opportunities we will have. So that's one of them. The other one is quality resources. Like, we're very aware that we need improved resources for you as Master Gardener volunteers to use in the communities that you serve to deliver on the research-based horticulture education. So there's a number of things happening there. One, we're updating the Master Gardener basic training curriculum. The new text is underway. The new text should be published by fall of this year. And we're updating the online curriculum as well. Other pieces, I'm going to tee up Mike Peranto. Mike, I presume that you're on. I didn't see you. Mike Peranto, are you on? Oh, there you are. Thanks, Mike. So now I'm about to tee up Mike Peranto to talk about climate change and the curriculum being developed around climate change. So Mike and I met, he's a Pierce County Master Gardener volunteer. We met to work on the website. He was the team lead on getting our Master Gardener state website updated. And during that time, I learned that Mike is very committed to climate change and mitigating climate change. And so in 2022, our state extension, WSU extension, held a summer conference on climate change and the work that WSU does around climate change. And I facilitated a Master Gardener panel, and Mike Peranto was a part of that panel along with a couple of program coordinators. And the purpose of that panel was to share with Extension, all faculty and staff across Extension, that the Master Gardener program has been since its beginnings and still is today a force for climate change education. Maybe we didn't call it climate change back in 1973 or 1983, but in 2023, we called it climate change. So Mike, what's happening in the climate change world in the Master Gardener program right now?
Thank you for teeing that up, so I don't have to, I'm gonna grab the screen from you.
Sure.
Thank you for the tee up, so I don't have to repeat any of that. I'll just jump right in. So where we sit now, if you, Jennifer took the story up to kind of middle of last year. In the fall of last year at the AEC, a group of Master Gardener volunteers got together and with this notion of, look, the climate change is a huge, significant issue. And the way we're organized county by county kind of forces every county to create their a lot of their own climate change materials, and it's hard to get enough scale together to really make a significant dent on it. So we had this notion of, well, what if we all got together statewide and didn't worry about county boundaries and just combined our resources and started building stuff for use across so that any county could pull it down if they wanted. And so beginning October, we formed this climate change group, and we have a project focus. And one of the first projects we decided to tackle was, what if we collected all of the climate change presentations we have across the state that have been developed for Speakers Bureau, standardize them, rationalize them, make sure they're good quality, and then offer them up across the state. And so that's kind of what we're working on right now, and what I'm going to tell you a little bit more about. But before I do that, any of you, the commercial, if any of you out there are interested in climate change, everybody's welcome. Send me an email with your email address and your county, and I'll add you to our distribution list. We meet once a month via Zoom like this, a middle Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. for those of you working, so that everybody can attend. And we kind of share what's going on climate change wise and discuss potential projects and try and form teams to tackle those projects. We also have a website, which I'm about to show you. It's a picture doing 1,000 words. You're welcome to go there. You'll notice it's Pierce County because I administer that site. I could build it there, but this is just a draft site. We're going to port the key stuff out of this to the state site, working with Debbie in the next couple of months. If you want to get on, it's MGWB, all lowercase, and the year 2023. That stands for Master Gardeners Without Borders. Okay. When you go in there, you will see this website. And basically, top part of it, Jennifer was just referring to our mission. We thought we put it in there. This top part is how you can get yourself linked into all these future Zoom meetings. Here's our calendar. Here's a Zoom with password. Just put it in your calendar. We have notes. We record all the previous meetings if you want to get caught up. And then we spend the time talking about projects. So I'm going to give a little bit deeper dive on the presentation library in a second, but just to give you a feel for the other projects we're talking about. We have a member who's part of the AEC 2024, and there's going to be a climate change track on the AEC. We have somebody, Sandy Bauer, out of Pierce also, who wants to get a group together on climate change gardening for children and youth. An education piece from Jim Little out of King County. Discussion but no leader of, can we provide information for clinic kits? And also, what can we do for plant sales? So if you think about it right now, most of the projects aren't something brand new. It's basically beefing up our knowledge at existing programs that we have. And one of those programs is Speakers Bureau. So what we did with the Speakers Bureau, and like I said, this is one we're furthest along on, is we gathered up all those presentations and put them in one place. So we right now have about a dozen presentations from Intro to Climate Change, The Resilient Yard, Gardening and Climate Change, Veggie Gardening, Native Plants, Pollinators, on down Water-Wise, Fire Resistant, and on and on. And the setup here is, I'm gonna use this one because it's mine. Or at least I was part of the team that built this, not to take too much credit there. But we set it up so it'd be easy and easily accessible. So we create there's both a Western Washington and an Eastern Washington version. And we put the PDF right there so that if somebody can come in and kind of shop and say, oh, this, okay, this is the kind of presentation I want to give. Optionally, but we try, if the author will put together a Zoom presentation so that somebody can watch it for kind of a self-training. And then the third piece is then you can download the PowerPoint and it's yours. So we use the standard climate change template from WSU. We're all using the same template so that the presentations are interchangeable if you want to just take a chunk out of the presentation and integrate it with another one. So anyway, that's where we sit. We're in the process right now of doing something that's really kind of cool we haven't done before. Ever since I've been here, we've been talking about getting stuff peer reviewed. And with Jennifer's push, we've got 6 WSU professors who are willing to review this. It's not technically a peer review. We're calling it, I think the tentative name right now is WSU EMG approved presentations, but we'll basically have a professor with climate science background check our facts for the first pass. Second pass will be making sure we do all the proper crediting kind of thing, and then we'll stamp it as approved, and we're going to move it over to once it's approved, we'll get it from this development site over to the state site that Jennifer showed you earlier today. And it will be available across the state so that anybody who wants to give a Speakers Bureau presentation can access this library. The goal being we make it a lot easier to put together presentations. Hopefully we give a lot more of them. Also, if we have, half a dozen that you can assemble together into longer programs, hopefully we can get more creative programs going on with that as well. So anyway, that's the project. I'm going to try and see if I always have trouble getting back to my PowerPoint template here.
Are any of these in Spanish?
No, but whoever asked so that's beautiful. There's I touched lightly on the Eastern Washington versus Western Washington. So like I come from Western Washington, and the Resilient Yard needs to be changed for Eastern Washington. And so we make it available out there, and some folks from Yakima, who I believe are on the call, are going to take it and adapt it for Yakima. I put the same challenge out to you. If you want it in Spanish, it's out there. What we need is you to grab it and flip it over and get a Spanish version of that. So that's exactly the kind of participation we'd love for you to join our group and help make this more robust. I'm going to stop sharing because I can't get out of where I'm at. And just again, and so I think I gave it back. The last piece again, if you're interested in climate change, if either in the chat box here or by email, send me your email address and your county. I'll add you to the list and we'll get you invited to the Wednesday meetings. If you don't want to do it that way, you've got the website password, just get on and you can put it in the calendar yourself and just show up. Anybody, all are welcome, and the more the merrier. So that's it for me. Oh, yes. Harmony.
Harmony.
Yep.
Hi, Mike, thank you so much for putting this together and creating the coalition and selecting all of our Master Gardener content about climate change and creating this synergy. This is so amazing and powerful for the community at large in our organization. Question, as Spanish, in the topic of converting resources into Spanish, I was wondering if anyone from Skagit County would be willing to pipe in at this time. If I'm remembering correctly, I have a faint memory of one of them saying that they have a really robust Spanish language resources, and they have gone through that process of getting them into that language and developing programming around that. So that's my question. Anyone from Skagit able to
Well,
pipe in and give some context on that?
I haven't seen her here, but Deborah Smeltzer in Skagit, and she's been very active on the getting these authorized certified process, and she's your Skagit's education person, so she probably knows. So we can reach out to
Mike?
Debbie and see what you can say. Yes.
Mike, this is Brad Brown from Skagit County. Although I love deferring to Deborah every time I can, it's probably not useful to add another layer of work for her. We have a community cultural awareness and outreach committee that is in that process right now. We're very active in that, and we'd happily talk to you about our process and what we're doing.
Outstanding. So Brad, can you put your email address into the chat here, and I'll reach out to you after the meeting?
I'll do that, Mike.
Thank you.
I want to add, though, that we have 2 members who are native Spanish speaking, and that's not why they joined the program, to work as translators.
Right.
And so be cautious how you use some of your people, so that you're not overusing them for not what they wanted to do.
Well,
And
and
then-
I think WSU should be doing this. I don't understand why WSU isn't helping.
So I'll speak to that. So
Thank you.
translation is a very specific skill set. It is not something that a general person who maybe speaks Spanish or another language has the ability to do. It is a very specific skill set. Words don't translate, one to one. We all know that. And so for translating a presentation like this into Spanish, it's going to take lots of time and lots of skill. Google Translate is not an option. It translates more directly, and it doesn't understand the nuance that is trying to be communicated. So WSU is working on, and I'm not exactly sure where we're at with that, but hiring a third-party vendor who has the skill set to help us with these things. And so
Jennifer,
I'm not really sure
if-
where that's sitting right now.
if I could interrupt here too, there are 2 types of new language development. One is BICS, B-I-C-S, which is basic intercommunication skills. And then there's another one, CALP, C-A-L-P, which is cognitive academic learning. And it's there's a 5 to 7 years difference in regards to that. It means that somebody who's learning English or even somebody who has an awareness of their first language doesn't always have that academic part too. There are steps that can shorten the time and reduce the cost to get that to the third person, where they don't have to just automatically do the translation from start to finish. And there's also the issue of idiomatic regional dialects, especially from Mexico. That's also an issue too. So we've delved right into that. I'll work with Mike on it. It's really something that's important. But I'm hoping that while we do this from the outside, doing the translation and beginning this process, we're not sort of short-circuited by something being developed at the foundation level or the WSU level that is then laid on us that we have to follow what I hope that it works from the ground up.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Go ahead, Gilbert.
I think you guys addressed my comments. I was just leery of just letting somebody just run with a
Mm-hmm.
translation and not really having the background of the expertise for technical language and all that stuff. So it's
Yeah.
hard to translate a technical document into another language if you don't have that expertise and the education for it.
And
Right.
so if you guys don't mind, I'd like to kind of weigh back in here a little bit, just because I may be leaving you with the wrong impression, okay? Right now, this is a kind of a startup entrepreneurial group, master gardener to master gardener. We are trying to jumpstart and improve all of our climate change offerings. And that's why specifically the first answer back was when somebody asked, if somebody cares about Spanish language, then I want them to be, it's not a contractual relationship or it's somebody's passionate about climate change and they want to make this their own project, then please get involved. To Gilbert's point, at some point in time, WSU may come in and be perceived to Bigfoot some of this stuff. Great. That just means we've established enough momentum on this stuff that we feel there needs to be greater involvement. But we're trying to jumpstart our climate change initiatives from master gardeners to master gardeners voluntarily, of people who care about climate change. Kind of that's what we're about. We'll deal with all those issues of scale. That means we're being successful. So my 2 cents on that.
Thanks, Mike. And then I'll just finish the conversation by saying the material that's on the Pierce County website is not ready for public viewing. Not ready. Please do not take that information and go teaching it. We need to make sure that the presentations are reviewed. We all know that we are here to deliver research-based sustainable education. Research-based means that it's based in research, but then reviewed. And so we're working on that review process. So please go ahead and look at it, but please do not use it until it's on our state website and has an approved stamp on it.
And where that sits, the first presentation has gone through that pipeline and it's worked out fairly well. We had one technical difficulty. I think we just sent the wrong file in. But kind of by mid-February, we should have back the first presentation, and then the other 11 presentations are right now being spruced up so that they meet the standards, and then that'll start the pipeline. So beginning, hopefully, knock on wood, mid-February through April, you'll see a steady progress of presentations coming out the pipeline. And Debbie Benbow and I will work on upgrading that. As soon as we have one to post, we'll start design the website page there and we'll start posting there. So look for it. Hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have something to show you guys.
All right. Thank you, Mike. And thank you all. I think this is a great opportunity to get involved, create some statewide tools that all volunteers can use to deliver the research-based gardening education. So, to our communities. This was really something that we wanted to accomplish through our quality resources team, making sure that volunteers have the tools that you need. And this is one example of how volunteers can be involved with helping create those tools. So Mike, appreciate your leadership there and everybody that's involved on that team. Really cool. And I'm hoping that maybe we can, start other groups full of people who are maybe passionate about pollinators or passionate about local food and create similar tools in our other 9 program priority areas. So great. Thanks, Mike. We'll keep everybody updated. Another team that is we focus on statewide is infrastructure. And this is all about making sure that coordinators and volunteers have the technology tools that we need to deliver on our mission. One of the things that we're working on is the adoption of Microsoft Office 365. There's a few counties that are working on that, on how to make that happen and be available statewide. There's a lot of I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed, so we make sure that it works well and is easy for you to, as easy as possible for you to use. So we essentially provide sharing, online space for all of us to share our resources back and forth, and communicate with our clients. All right. Another one is the diversity, equity, inclusion team. And we know from surveys that we did in 2022 that our volunteers across Washington state and then really nationally too want to work to diversify the volunteers who participate in our program and to make sure that we are serving all audiences across our communities. So there's a group of coordinators working in that arena. I know that there are volunteers who are interested in working in that arena. And so now that we're into 2024 and that I'm going to visit with that team and see if they're ready to have some volunteer participation. And if we're there, we'll let everybody know. The quality resources team has obviously volunteer participation. The infrastructure team has volunteer participation. The Telling Our Story team has volunteer participation, so we want to make sure that we include volunteers on the other teams as well. Another team is professional development for program coordinators. So Jana Ferris is our volunteer development specialist, and she recently launched a survey to program coordinators to find out, what is it that we need in terms of professional development. And, we ask volunteers that fairly regularly at conferences and things like that. So there's some ideas for topics around professional development that include having crucial conversations. These are like Master Gardener skills things, crucial conversations, evaluation, conflict management, AIM. So it's active learning, how to teach using active learning strategies. So things like that. So that's kind of what we're working on there. And then always a sixth piece of it that didn't come out of that 2018, 2019 SWOT analysis, but something that the State Foundation and the state program are working on a regular basis is the program foundation relations. The foundations provide so much support for our Master Gardener program, and that partnership is key to success. And so working with program coordinators, WSU Extension Master Gardener volunteers, and with the foundations across the state on strategies for developing and maintaining and cultivating, nourishing a mutually beneficial partnership. So that's Tana and I and others are working on that pretty regularly as well. So that is really what we're going to be working on 2024 on the program side. And if there are no questions for me, I'll turn it over to Tana, the Master Gardener Foundation of Washington State, for her to kind of give you an update on what the State Foundation is working on in 2024.
Good morning. I can't believe how many faces are on my screens this morning.
134 people.
Yes. I've said in a couple of meetings recently, those who are not avid gardeners think that winter is a quiet time. And actually, it's very, very busy. And that holds true, as you can see, on the program level, as well as on the foundation level for our Master Gardeners. What I'd like to do is share a screen quickly that identifies the goals, the work goals we've set for this year. And we are excited to continue work from last year, as well as add just a few things to our agenda. Now, one of the things that's important to note is that everyone who directly supports the State Foundation is also very active at the local level. And so we are so appreciative of the time that they give us, knowing that they're very busy. Our work plan is fairly simple. It was developed initially with categories from our executive team and then verified through a survey that was administered last year statewide. So we've got categories, and I'll go through them quickly. Board capacity and performance. We're relooking at our board structure and working to create a handbook as well as an orientation for state board members. We also are in the process of developing a communication plan. And I can tell you that within the next very few weeks, you'll receive a survey asking you to respond to questions that will help us best target our communication in order to meet your needs, whether it's at your foundation board level or at your local program board level. It's interesting to work with an organization that is changing as quickly as ours. And so that board structure becomes even more important as we move forward, making sure that we have people in places to do the work that best supports each of you. We also are working, as you know, on technology tools. We've had great success thanks to Mike and his team with the Unified Foundation website project. And the examples, when you go out to look at the websites that have been moved to the new platform, are incredible. Also added to that now is a very important aspect of our own state website, and that's to list events and plant sales that are going on locally. And I'd encourage you, if you haven't yet submitted that information through our state website, please do so, because we're going to be using that to share with the public at the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival. Jennifer mentioned that careful aligning between the state foundation and the state program. So one of the things we're going to be working on is participating in that Microsoft 365 effort to make sure that when changes are proposed, the foundation can respond to those changes as well. Our partnership work continues. Many of the local foundations contact us with questions or suggestions, or they ask for us to meet directly with boards for training or to respond to specific needs or opportunities that are available locally. So I want to encourage you to continue to do that. An important part of our work at the state foundation level is being a resource to strengthen local foundations. So feel free to get in touch with us when you need that kind of assistance. Another thing that all of you likely shake your heads about, and we do as well, is going back and examining documents that guide our practices. Includes our articles of incorporation, MOAs, bylaws, policies, and procedures. We're in the process of updating those. In fact, there's a short work session scheduled in February to look more closely at the bylaws. And it's difficult to do that work given the fact that each of those documents relies on the other. So being careful about how change is implemented when we move forward and moving to a better place versus a chaotic place is an important part of our consideration. And then we also are looking to more carefully stabilize the financial and fundraising operations of the foundation. We felt confident about the AEC this year. We've received wonderful accolades for all of the strong work volunteers did to make that 50th anniversary Advanced Education Conference a success. But we also know that that model financially is not stable. And so we will have a virtual conference this year. We've already signed contracts with our technology vendor as well as with our keynote speaker. There's more information on the State Foundation website about the AEC, and it's being updated at all times as we make progress. But we also know that we need to begin looking at other means of being able to fund the State Foundation. And those means need to be done in a way that doesn't diminish resources at the local level. And so a lot of discussion and care is being done in that category. There's a short list of accomplishments for 2023. We have provided this work plan, including the accomplishments section, to foundation presidents and also to your local board representatives for foundation service. So be sure to ask them for more information. They can provide the document. And in addition to that, we're encouraging all state foundations to include time on their agendas for a report from the State Foundation representatives about how we're working to further strengthen our system. One system, one voice. And so I want to close by saying an appreciation to two people. Don Enstrom has been instrumental in providing historical input and guiding throughout this year as past president. He's been valuable in that state. And I couldn't ask for a better partner than Jennifer. As we've been very clear about, we work together well. We don't always agree to begin with, but we've set in place a model where we truly listen and always come at issues from a solution-oriented, strengthening perspective. So thanks go to those two, but also to the many people on this call who support our work. And with that, I would, like Jennifer, welcome any questions or comments.
Thank you, Tana. I ditto Tana's comments. I mean, it's been great to work with you, Tana, and the State Foundation, and I feel like we've made great progress over the last few years in aligning program and foundation and building that mutually beneficial relationship. Thank you, Tana. And Dawn. Any other questions or comments for Tana or for me? Okay, so I have one more item on the agenda, and that's the Endowed Chair campaign. The Endowed Chair campaign is really a campaign to raise $1.5 million so that we can hire and appoint a professor fully dedicated to the Extension Master Gardener program in perpetuity. So when we reach that $1.5 million mark, WSU will appoint a urban horticulturist to full-time support the Master Gardener program through teaching, through curriculum development, through fact sheets, through publications, through research, through involving volunteers in research on different cutting-edge horticultural topics. And it will, the endowment means that that person, that WSU will have to maintain that person in support of the Master Gardener program for as long as the Master Gardener program exists at WSU, in perpetuity, forever. And so it also is in conjunction with the position that I hold. So this person will not replace my position. That means you'll have at least 2 people fully dedicated to the Master Gardener program from the WSU level in perpetuity. Other states have been working on raising money for something like this for many, many years. If I recall, Don Enstrom did some research around this and found that most states endowments after years are still sitting around $60,000. And I'm happy to say that ours has nearly reached the $125,000 mark in just a little over a year. Whoop, whoop. Yes, Harmony's got her hands up clapping. So that's very exciting, but we still have quite a ways to go to reach that $1.5 million mark, right? I've heard many of you say, man, I wish I was independently wealthy and I could just fund this thing. And I agree with that, right? I wish I could just do it. But it's going to be a team effort from all of us, from WSU Connors, from WSU Development, and from external stakeholders as well. So we have a very ambitious goal for 2024 to reach the $500,000 mark by the end of the year. And we have a number of strategies in place to reach that mark. And I'm just going to go through them fairly quickly so that we can have time. Oh, it's already 10 o'clock. Okay, quick. So we're going to reinvigorate the 5 for 5. And that is $5 a month for 5 years from 5,000 people is $1.5 million. That's not very much money individually, but it does take a lot of people. So it's a way to, get lots of people involved, promote the campaign, and maybe cultivate some major gifts. Corporate donors. So we finally reached the threshold that our Connors development professionals have agreed that, okay, we can go out to corporate donors now and see if they're interested in supporting us. Those corporations could be folks from, horticulture side, but they could also be health and wellness. They could also be natural resource people who, are passionate about protecting our natural resources. If you know of corporations in this area, we're asking that you, or in any area that you think might support our efforts, let me or let Tana know, please. Our Dean Powers, Wendy Powers, the Connors Dean, which is the College of Agricultural, Human, and Natural Resource Sciences, Wendy Powers, she and our WSU Government Affairs Office are working with and engaging with representatives, congressional leaders regarding the campaign and the importance of the Extension Master Gardener program. We're going to be highlighted in Cougs Give again this year, and we're looking for people who might be interested in providing matching gifts for that campaign. So you'll hear more about that. Visiting with commissions and commodity groups like tree fruit, small fruit, potatoes, right? So we do a lot to help protect their industry from invasive pests and disease. Grants. So the WSU Connors Grants team is doing some research there, and then just promotion of the campaign through our website and through volunteers like you and program staff like Harmony and Beth and Linda, Debbie, many others, to really get the word out so that people know about the campaign and how it will be a game changer for our WSU Extension Master Gardener program. Oh, another thing is WSU Development has offered to do planned giving workshops for the foundations across the state who might be interested, and volunteers alike who might be interested in learning more about planned giving. So how is Washington funds invested to grow? What you mean, the WSU Foundation funds? So if that's the question. Yeah, so the funds are invested through the WSU foundation. And all the funds are aggregated. And these are, I'm speaking outside of my full knowledge base here. But they're aggregated and invested so that they grow. The WSU Foundation folks will be able to answer that better for you. Shalane is her name. Let me get her email for you so that you can contact her directly. Her name is Shalane Foster. She's great. She'll be able to answer that question more thoroughly for you. All right. Our next meeting is February 29th. It's a leap year. So I'll see you on February 29th. Thank you all for joining. I hope you found that it was worth your time. I enjoyed
And could you
seeing
make,
many people.
could you make sure that the chats are with the information too?
I can try. I've never done that before. I can look into that.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Jennifer.
Thank
The other
you.
is, someone was asking about the link to get to the endowment page. I think I have it right here.
I just put it up.